Yo, what's up? This is my YouTube page. Leave a comment, write a review, ask a question. I will write you back. A lot of the times, I will write you back. Welcome to my YouTube page. 3, 2, 1. Yes. Higgity, have no fear. The I Am Rapaport Stereo Podcast is here. What? Welcome to the Iron Dome of Disruption. Welcome to the Ziggity Zone of Disruption. My name is Michael Rapaport, a.k.a. the Inflamed Ashkenazi, a.k.a. the Disruptive Warrior, a.k.a. the Gringo Man Dingo, a.k.a. Mr. New York, a.k.a. the Jewish Jake LaMotta. I hope everybody's feeling good. Hope everybody's feeling safe. I hope everybody is feeling sane. Welcome to the I Am Rapaport Stereo Podcast, the world's most disruptive podcast. Boom. You see it. Feeling really, really good. What can I say? Happy holidays. Happy Hanukkah. Merry Christmas. Happy Kwanzaa. Whatever you're celebrating, not celebrating. We are coming to the end, my friends. We are coming to the end. This is the end. My beautiful friends, the end. We're coming to the end of 2022, and I hope it's ending as best as possible. I hope you drained as much out of 2022 as you possibly could have, and there's a few days left, so squeeze it for everything it's got, because 2023 is going to be wacky. It's going to be wacky. It's going to be wild, and hopefully, it's going to be wonderful. This is the I Am Rapaport Stereo Podcast. I'm feeling really good. Feeling really safe. Feeling really sane. What can I say? My wife had the monster. My wife caught coronavirus for what we think is the third time. Not once, not twice, 3 times. Third time's a charm. And she caught it. She got diagnosed. She went to some holiday party. And the next day, she felt like shit. And my wife, she ain't just a disruptive warrior. She's a warrior. She was down and out the next day. I was fortunately in the Bay Area. Shout out to Tommy T's. Boom. Shout out to Tommy T's. Shout out to everybody that came to see me in Pleasanton. Those were some dope-ass shows. The shows, the club, the staff, the vibe of that little city, that area, excellent. I love that club. I love that. They're like right up on you. It's like we're there. Like there's like a balcony. You could like high-five the people in the back. It's close quarters. I liked it. But I was there, and then my wife got diagnosed with the monster. Officially, she took a test, home test. It said, you have the monster. And then she went to the spot, and then they gave her another test, and they said, you got the monster. So I was coming home the next day or the day after that, and I had to make an executive decision because I hadn't been home in 12 days, which is a long time for me. I had to make an executive decision. The executive decision was to quarantine at a hotel, stay in San Francisco, go to LA. My mother said, maybe you want to come to, do you want to go to Florida? And I said, I have to go home. I've been wearing the same clothes for 2 weeks. I've washed them. But I have to go home. I've been sleeping in hotels. I need my bed. I need my own space. I need to be in the crib. So we decided to quarantine together. Now, full transparency, my apartment in New York, Nueva York, for my Spanish, Latin American, the Latin Rap-A-Pack all over the world. The crib ain't that big. So we had to figure out how this is going to go down. Am I going to be in the bedroom? Is she going to be in the bedroom? We're talking 3-4 days of this shit. Okay? we ultimately decided that I would be in the living room and she would be in the bedroom. This is ridiculous. Quarantining together. We don't have a basement. I don't have like a man cave. So I had to go to the crib and she don't want me to get coronavirus because I'm compromised. As good as I look, boom. I mean, you see it. You go, how can this guy be compromised? You're looking at me. You're like, what compromise? How could, I'm compromised. I have a compromised immune system. The inflamed Ashkenazi, that's not a nickname that I just got. That's a nickname that I earned. Just like the Gringo Mandingo. It's not a nickname that you just flew at me. Oh, I earned that. Just like the Disruptive Warrior. But I have issues. Now, one of my goals today for this particular podcast is to not cough. But I'm all banged up. I'm banged up in the game. Again, I'm feeling good. You see me. I look good. But I got the mucus. This time of the year, the mucus, the traveling, the flying, the ulcerative colitis medication, the food. Because when you're sick, you know what calls you? That bread, that yeast, that gluten, it calls your name. Everybody's a science expert. Everybody's a health expert. I know. You're like, Rapaport, the fuck are you talking about? What do you know about gluten and yeast? Boom. I know. But I am compromised. We know over the 4th of July, I was in the hospital. 5 days. Pneumonia. Okay, now what I got is not contagious. Maybe pneumonia is contagious. I don't know. That was when I was in the hospital for pneumonia. And that's when they tried to say that my contaminated. Literally. They accused me of having contaminated stool. They were coming in the Walter White outfits. When Walter White and Jesse Pinkman, when they cook up that meth, they were walking in there, except for it wasn't Walter White. It wasn't Jesse Pinkman. And the outfits weren't like custom made yellow. They were like bluish gray. They weren't, when your wife and your doctors and your nurse have to come into your hospital room, which ain't that big, which ain't that luxurious, in meth outfits, Walter White outfits, because you've been accused of allegedly having contaminated stool. That's something you don't forget. When I look back at 2022, I'll never forget when they were like, yo, we have to check your stool. I said, my stool is not contaminated. It might be a lot of things, but my stool is not contaminated. Where was I? Yes. My wife, me, compromised. So we had to separate. We had to quarantine in the crib. She didn't want to go to a hotel. She offered to say, you're not going to a hotel. We just have to do it. We mask up, Lysoled up. The day before I got there, like 36 hours before I got there, she's spraying. I said, why don't you just relax? Spray things down an hour before I get there. You're sick. You got the monster. The monster's gotten you. Not the first time, not the second time. This is the third time. And I know some people might be going, oh, did you get the vaccine? Oh, you super spreader this. Oh, you super spreader that. I'm not arguing with you dummies. You Trump supporting dum-dums. That's mucus. The point is, I went into the crib. We were separate but equal. She's in the bedroom, the door shut. You're not masking up in your own crib, double masking up in your own crib. The whole place smells like bleach and Lysol. I can't stand the smell of Lysol. I don't know. But it was 3 days of that. Sleeping on the couch. I'm in the bathroom. My wife comes in to use the bathroom while I'm using the bathroom. I'm in the shower. She comes in to, take a leak. She goes, well, why aren't you wearing a mask? I go, I'm in the shower, man. I'm in the shower. I'm not wearing a mask. Anyway, we got through it. We got through it because I got tested. I got tested again. Done. I didn't catch the monster this time. Maybe it's because I'm vaccinated. Maybe vaccine worked on the gringo mandingo. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't, because who knows? Nobody knows nothing. I'm so sick and tired of people that can't even spell antibodies talking to me about I have the antibodies, and they have this and they have that, and I take zinc and I take vitamin D, and when I take my vitamin D, I take it with the vitamin K because the vitamin K kickstarts the vitamin D, and my antibodies this and my antibodies that. You didn't graduate high school. You didn't graduate high school. Go take an ice bath. Go take a hot shower. Learn how to spell antibodies and shut up. It's to each his own. You know what I took? Matzo ball soup. Okay? They call that Jewish penicillin. Happy Hanukkah. Anyway, I'm healthy as a horse, back to working out, but a little phlegmy. It's phlegm season. It is phlegm season, but it is our anniversary. 6 years married. I don't talk much about my personal life in general, but it's our anniversary. And you know, I'm not good with the gifts. Who knows what to do on the anniversary? I'm just happy that someone had me. 6 years, wife, even though she had the monster, could have potentially killed me with it. 6 years of being married. I've known my wife a long, long, long time. We were together, just to give you a little context. Me and my wife were together 21 years old. We were together from about 21 to 25. Then we broke up. We always remained cool. We didn't burn the block down. Because normally, when I break up with somebody, I burn the block down. I burn the block down. I blowtorch the street. There's explosions. There's cars. There's drama. There's possible arrests. Okay, I'm not incriminating myself and or anybody else. That's not one of my strong suits. Ending relationships. It's not something I'm necessarily good at. But this one, we always stayed cool. We stayed, friends. We got back together a while ago. Anyway, we've been married 6 years. We got married on a Friday, a misty Friday afternoon. We didn't even, Friday morning. We went to go get the marriage certificate. We were planning on a non-traditional wedding. We were planning on a very sort of simple wedding. Oh, and we simplified it. We simplified it real nice. We got married in sweatpants. But it was a beautiful day, beautiful ceremony. And honestly, the best decision I have ever made. So happy anniversary to my wife. And God bless you. God bless you for all the shit you have to deal with just being in close quarters with me. The burping, the snorting, the sneezing, the coughing, the farting, the oing, the oivaying, the grunting, the groaning, all of it. It ain't no picnic over there. Speaking of picnics, they tried to rob Robert De Niro's apartment here in New York City. Boom. The other day, a serial criminal who has been in and out of jail for robberies of a similar sort, breaking and entering, we call them B&Es. Bobby D, Robert De Niro, one of the greatest artists, one of the greatest actors of all time who lives on the Upper East Side of Manhattan in a townhouse. I didn't even know Bobby D lived on the Upper East Side of Manhattan in a townhouse. I live on the Upper East Side of Manhattan in a townhouse. And when I found out that a burglar broke into his house, I was like, I don't want to know where he lives. Because you know what'll happen? I'll start showing up on that block just to bump into Bob on a random Tuesday because I love him so much. I love him so much. It's not stalking. Is that stalking? I guess, would you call it stalking, Dave? Not stalking. It's just, I want to see a friend. I mean, we're not friends. I mean, but anyway, they tried to rob Robert De Niro's house. A woman at 2:45 in the morning, broke into his Upper East Side townhouse. Apparently there was a door open to get into his I think it's a private apartment, a townhouse. For those of you who don't know, New York, it's like a separate thing. It's a rare thing. That's for the Bobby D types. Okay? There's townhouses that have multi-apartments. Bobby D ain't renting out his bottom 2 floors. Bobby D owns the whole thing. Allegedly, there was a door open, and this woman, and you could see a picture of her, she ain't bad looking. She kind of looks like Ice Spice. She's kind of cute. Looks like she's about 30 years old. Allegedly, she's got a laundry list of arrests. She's been in and out of the system. They keep letting her out. Bobby D gets awoken by some sounds at 2:45 in the morning, literally by his Christmas tree. You're not getting out now, lady. Crazy lady. You robbed the wrong Robert this time, you fuck. You broke into Bobby D's house at 2:45 in the morning, and you were trying to steal his Christmas presents under his Christmas tree. And can you imagine the shock on this woman's face? Not when she realized she was getting caught, but then that she realized she was getting caught by Robert De Niro. You got to feel like such an asshole. You got to feel like such a dummy. You're breaking and entering B&E, and the person who catches you is the Godfather, is Taxi Driver. Travis Bickle walks in on you, and he's probably like, what the f*** are you doing? Like, it's 2:45. He's probably, I heard he sleeps with a sleep apnea mask. I don't know if he had a sleep apnea mask on. I don't know if he was butt ass. I don't know how Bobby D sleeps. I don't care, to be honest. But I tell you one thing, you little Christmas tree bandit, you ain't getting out this time. Rest assured, they've let you in and out of prison just like this. You sneaked into the wrong motherfucker's house this time. But if Bobby D ain't safe, who is safe? If Robert De Niro's crib could get broken into, and some woman, thank God it was just a lone woman. I'm sure even at, I don't know how old Bobby D is. How old's Bobby D now? 80? No, Bobby D's 79. Check that. Bobby D is 79. Correct? Robert De Niro's 79. Even at 79, he could have taken you down. Ice Spice, cutie pie. You ain't getting out now. You fucked up. But I would love to talk to this woman like, yo, when you realized you broke into Robert De Niro's house, were you like, oh, shit? Were you thinking like, can I get a selfie before I get arrested? Because you getting arrested. And she looks like she's talking to the cops. She's probably nuts. You got a pretty face. Who knows what's going on upstairs? But like I said, if Robert De Niro's crib ain't safe, whose crib is safe? Lock your fucking doors. Bob, lock your doors. Somebody got to be fired. Somebody should be fired. Whoever's the head of security, his assistant, somebody needs to be fired. But I just would have loved, boom, that interaction when you break into Robert De Niro's crib. You're like, what the fuck are you doing? He can be like, what the f-? He comes down in character. Keep Robert De Niro safe. Keep Al Pacino safe. Keep Denzel Washington safe. Keep the greats. Keep the artists. Keep our kings safe. And our queens, of course. I'm talking about Bobby D here. I would love to have Bobby D on this fest. I'm going to get him on here. Bobby D's turning 80 this year. We're throwing you a birthday, Robert De Niro, on your 80th, whether you like it or not. And I know you don't like it. I know you'd prefer to be left alone. Your 80th birthday's coming up. We are not going to let that just slip by because we adore you. Somebody who we don't adore. And podcasting is such an incredible business now. Podcasting is so booming. And to be a professional podcaster in this day and age, I'm very proud of it. Very proud of what we've built with the I Am Rapaport Stereo podcast. And I'm proud that we've done it with some integrity, a lot of integrity. Some people don't give a shit because some podcasts, boom, some podcasts will literally have anybody on just to get a rep, to quote the great Gang Starr, the late great Guru and Premier, just to get a rep. This podcast by these guys, the Nelk Boys, which I guess is, I don't know who these people are. I know they have rappers on, and if I was a rapper and I went on the Nelk Boys podcast, I would ask them, can you name 3 of my songs? Any rapper that goes on a podcast, you should make sure on air when the cameras are rolling, you say, yo, can you name 3 of my songs? Can you name one? Can you recite one verse to one of my songs? Since you're such a big guest, since you're so into me. This podcast had O.J. Simpson on their podcast. And I was thinking to myself, wow. And this is an already very popular podcast. Everybody does this podcast. I don't know much about these guys. It's very popular. I don't know how it got popular, but the fact that these dudes had O.J. Simpson on their podcast, you sleep with yourself? You think that's dope? To have O.J., a killer? We know he did it. Just to get motherfuckers to watch your shit. And get Jake Paul, get Logan Paul, get Chris Paul. You got O.J. Simpson on your podcast. It's not like you guys are trying to build your brand. You have a very successful brand. Are you ashamed of yourself? Are you proud of that you got him on there? Is nobody off limits to these podcasters? Some of these dudes will just have anybody on there. Like if Jeffrey Dahmer was on, motherfuckers, if Jeffrey Dahmer was live, motherfuckers would be like, yo, let me get Dahmer. I want to book him. I want to be the one to ask him the questions. And they had O.J. Simpson on, and they're asking him questions like you could believe anything this dude says. Now, I don't know if O.J. paid to get on his podcast or they paid O.J. to get on his podcast. I don't know how it works. Maybe it was just they booked a guest. Maybe it's not a hard get. But they're asking O.J. about who did it, who didn't do it, and all that. We know who did it. You're asking a guy who's not going to tell you the truth. Questions. And I wonder if the victim's family saw the podcast. And I wonder how this is like some Sandy Hook. This is like some Alex Jones shit, having O.J. Simpson on your podcast. He's a piece of shit. And it was circulating because they asked O.J. Simpson about the rumor of him being Khloe Kardashian's parent. And O.J. said this, that, and the third, but he basically said no. He said, I didn't do anything with Kris Jenner. I've never had sex with. He basically said, I didn't do anything with Kris Jenner. And this sort of verified that he isn't Khloe Kardashian's father. You can't believe a word this piece says. As far as I'm concerned, if you ask O.J. Simpson a question, whatever he says, you have to start thinking the opposite's true. This is a murderer, a cold-blooded murderer. He can't be trusted. Nothing he says is worth anything, like literally worth nothing. And these dudes had him on their podcast. For what? Business is booming. Business is booming for this podcast, yet you wanted O.J. Simpson on there, and you sat there with a straight face. Sometimes, like with a little smirk on your face, like it is sweet. With O.J. Simpson. I just don't get it. I just don't get it. Like at a certain point, like, you know, you got enough views. Like, don't you want to be able to, like, have some integrity about you? To have this dude on your podcast? You're already popping off. But this is the world we live in now. You might as well like do a fuck video. That's like a snuff video. That's like a porno. You sold yourself out. You might as well do dick videos where you're like jerk off videos. Hey, we have O.J. Simpson, and the next one, we're jerking each other off. Hey, check out the next episode of the Nelk Boys. We're going to give each other hand jobs. Shame on you. Don't you got parents? Speaking of a NFL great, true great, all class, the great Franco Harris of the Pittsburgh Steelers championship teams. The 75, 76, 79, and 1980 championship teams, the Pittsburgh Steelers, who, well, first of all, let's stay on Franco. The immaculate catch, Terry Bradshaw, the Las Vegas, the Oakland Raiders. This is when football was, not that it's not, football's always great, but it was just a different kind of football. And that catch, the immaculate catch, the Oakland Raiders versus the Pittsburgh Steelers championship game. And let me tell you something. At that time, even if you were a Giants fan, even if you were a Jets fan, even if you were, a fan of another team, the Dallas Cowboys and the Pittsburgh Steelers, they reigned supreme. Because it felt like every year they were in the Super Bowl, and they weren't. But every year they were in contention. And Franco Harris, Terry Bradshaw, the Steel Curtain, those iconic Pittsburgh Steeler players, those iconic Pittsburgh Steeler jerseys, the black, the gold. What a shame. I believe he was 77 years old, number 32, big running back. And at that time, like I said, as a kid, it wasn't like these kids are so educated they are today with SportsCenter, with Madden, with the video games, with ESPN. You could look everything up. You watched those games. You saw what you saw. You caught some highlights, and they were ingrained in your memory. And I was a kid when they played the Rams in 1980, and Lynn Swann, John Stallworth, Rocky Bleier, the offensive line, John Kolb, Mike Webster, Benny Cunningham, and just the defense. Mean Joe Green. This probably one of the greatest nicknames in all of sports history. Mean Joe Green. I mean, and Jack Lambert with his teeth missing. You didn't know what was going on. And these were not, it was a great time. And Franco Harris passed away. And I believe Franco Harris, half black, half Italian. He had that beautiful beard. He had that upright run. The pads were different. Everything was shot on film. You look at the highlights of those games that were shot on film, NFL films, and just a sad. It made me sad. Mel Blount. It made me sad that Franco Harris passed away because, like I said, I was Pittsburgh Steelers all day, every day versus whoever. They were playing against Earl Campbell and the Houston Oilers and all those guys. Those games were great, and it was just sad to find out. And, I started thinking these dudes are getting older, man. And I started, thinking about the guys that I loved growing up, the players that I loved, the Walt Frazier's, the Earl Monroe's, the Dr. J's. Of course, Darryl Dawkins passed away. Moses Malone passed away. But, dudes are getting older, and we're getting older. The fans of Franco Harris are getting older. It was sad to see the late, great Franco Harris, number 32 of the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is a guy who's not even on my team. And I loved him, and I just loved that the whole, watching those games, Chuck Noll, the coach, in the freezing Pittsburgh weather. And as a kid, it was like, what's Pittsburgh? It like this, crazy place. I'd never been there, but it just sounded cool. It looked cool on TV. And it's just a sad day to find out that Franco Harris passed. And of course, when it comes to Christmas, what are you going to be watching besides sports? I was thinking about the great Christmas films. There's so many great holiday films, Christmas films that the backdrop is Christmas, that aren't necessarily Christmas films. That's not like, Santa Claus or Scrooge or the Grinch or any of those things. Even It's a Wonderful Life. It's a Wonderful Life, is considered one of the great holiday films of all time, Christmas films of all times. But now, I Am Rapaport Stereo Podcast, Michael Rapaport's favorite, and reminding you of the favorite Christmas holiday films of all time. Obviously, It's a Wonderful Life. Again, it's not necessarily a Christmas film. It takes place during Christmas. It's more about redemption. It's more about, finding yourself being the best person you could possibly be. Lives up to all its expectations and the hype. Tearjerker, weird, oldish. That film is oldish. The way people talk, the way it looks, the sets, the fake snow, everything is just bizarre. But it's a classic, and it always gets you. A Charlie Brown Christmas with Charlie Brown. I fuck with Charlie Brown Christmas, with Charlie Brown Thanksgiving, and I forgot which one it was. It might have been Charlie Brown Thanksgiving, but I remember watching one of these Charlie Brown movies where Charlie Brown ran away, and I was crying. I was with my brother. I was about 6, and Charlie Brown, I can't remember which Charlie Brown it was, where Charlie Brown ran away. And I was crying and I was making noise. My brother was like, shut up. You're gonna make Dad come in and turn off the TV. This is when we only had 3 channels, 2, 4, and 7. Maybe there was 5 and 13, but they would go off early. But Charlie Brown Christmas is one of the great films, holiday films. Home Alone, excellent. Needs no introduction. Little Macaulay Culkin, Joe Pesci. Not necessarily a Christmas film, but Christmas theme. Man, they don't make movies like Home Alone anymore. Home Alone is a dope. They're never going to make movies like that again. The movie business is up. Home Alone is a stroke of true blue genius. Home Alone 2. Then, of course, Elf. In my opinion, Elf is the #1 Christmas movie made by a Jew. I believe Jon Favreau's Jewish. I think he's Jewish. I'm not sure if Jon Favreau's Jewish. Maybe he is Jewish. Maybe he's not Jewish. But there was also a lot of Christmas songs written by Jews. I was reading an article. White Christmas, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, written by a Jew. Let It Snow, written by a Jew. Walking in a Winter Wonderland. The Jews contributed a lot to some holiday hits. I'm just saying. Another Christmas film, holiday film, Die Hard. People argue whether that's a Christmas film. I'm not saying it's a Christmas film. I say it's a holiday film. I say if you watch Die Hard, you can watch it any time of the year. But Die Hard, holiday film, backdrop is Christmas. One of my favorite films and one of my favorite holiday films because of the theme. Love, finding yourself, family, loving your family. Silver Linings Playbook. Bradley Cooper, Jennifer Lawrence, Bobby Niro. Great film. Holiday film. I love Silver Linings Playbook. Rocky IV on Christmas Day. If we could come together, they could come together. The whole world could come together. Remember when he beat Drago's ass? Trading Places also took place during the holidays, Christmas. Love Actually. Again, you can watch this film any time of the year. Backdrop is Christmas. But the best, it's hard to say the best. Of course, Christmas Story, awesome. Peter Billingsley, the blonde head. I used to play football with him, Peter Billingsley. I believe he produced Elf. He's still in show business. I got to hook up with him. Peter Billingsley. The blonde from Christmas Story. But in my opinion, I would have to say, if it's pure Christmas, Elf has got to be the #1. Of course, there's Scrooge. There's a Nightmare Before Christmas. But I think Elf is #1, and I go with Home Alone as #2. That is I Am Rapaport's, Michael Rapaport's Christmas/holiday best of movies. And since we're doing movies, and since we have already given out the coveted Sick of the Year awards, a sick documentary on Netflix. If you want to watch something over the holidays that ain't going to make you feel good, if you're feeling lonely, you're feeling down, and you're feeling like not positive. There's a documentary on Netflix called Don't Answer the Phone. I was going to say do not answer the phone. It's called Don't Answer the Phone. This has been suggested by OG Paul Wall and a few other I Am Rapaport Stereo podcast listeners. I've gotten about 10 DMs about this. Don't Answer the Phone. I believe it's 3 parts. 3 parts on Netflix. Is a sick documentary that will give you the creeps, that'll make you feel disgusting. But also, this documentary, the thing about it that's fascinating is that it makes you realize that under the right circumstances, people will do anything another person tells them to do. This is the thing that you could really take away from this documentary. The documentary is about a sick who would call up, what are they called? Chain restaurants, McDonald's, Taco Bell's, Burger King, Wendy's. You're like, where's this going? He'd call up and ask to speak to the manager. And he would say he was a cop. The sick would say he's a cop. And then he would tell the manager of the restaurant, albeit a woman or a guy, go say, someone has stolen money in your restaurant and we need to find out who it is. This is on the phone. This is just on the phone. I'm a cop. I'm calling about somebody. They're literally talking about one time, one case in particular. Somebody stole $50 from a customer. $50. This is the late 90s into the early 2000s. And it was allegedly stolen by one of your younger employees. And the description would usually be she's young. She's got blonde hair and a cutish figure. And people go, okay, sir. And he's like, I'm from the local police department, because he was calling all over the country. It's happened dozens, not one, dozens of times. And then the manager of the Taco Bell, the Burger King, the McDonald's, would call in one of the female employees, young, it was always a female employee, and they would sit down and they have their surveillance footage. Most of the time it's not with the sound. And they would talk to them. And the cop would be on the phone saying, tell her this, tell her that, tell her this, tell her that. And eventually the cop would say, tell her we need to have her take her clothes off. We need to check her clothes. So the woman would wind up taking off her shirt, taking off her pants. And the manager would sit there and tell an 18-year-old employee, 19-year-old employee to eventually get butt naked. And the cop, the fake cop on the other end of the line, I don't give anything away, would be somehow getting off on this. And to the point where they would say, one time he had one of the people, one of the employees, one of the young girls, give, not the cop, not the person on the phone, the manager would wind up, had them giving him dome, oral sex. Another time he had them doing jumping jacks to make them break a sweat, because if they stole money and put it up their ass, they would sweat green. Literally, he'd be like, check to see if her sweat is green. And like I said, it goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on. It's going on and on and on. This is pre-cell phone, and it's so skeevy to watch the descriptions, because some of the people that it happened to, they're talking about it. They got the cop who eventually cracked the case. They have the victims talking over and over and over again. And the thing that's, it's so disgusting and it's so uncomfortable. But the thing that's crazy about it is that people, like I said, under the right circumstances, will do anything. If you catch them and you tell them the right things in the right way, you can do a lot of sick things to people, because people, a lot of times, like one of the girls that it happened to, she goes, I was just trying to do the right thing. I was trying not to get in trouble. Anyway, if you want a not happy holiday, sick fucking documentary to watch, Don't Answer the Phone on Netflix is that film. Anyway, done. Came, saw, disrupted. Came, saw, disrupted. I am wishing everybody the happiest, the healthiest, and the safest holiday season All right. We'll be continuing to podcast throughout the holidays. The name is Michael Rapaport, a.k.a. the Gringo Mandingo, a.k.a. the Disruptive Warrior. Take me out of here, Miles Jordan, with something real nice. Take me out of here with something real proper. But most importantly, take me out of here with something real funky. I am Rapaport Stereo Podcast. Have a great, fantastic holiday. I'm Rapaport Stereo Podcast. I'm out. What's up? Thank you for watching. Leave a question. Leave a comment. Leave a criticism. I watch. I read them all. Have a fantastic, fully disruptive holiday season. Stay safe, stay sane, and Happy New Year.